Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Kiska Brand Bajega Home Edition. Today on our show, we have a panel of India's most favorite ambassadors of humor who have never let the temperature of humor drop off in your life, be it through their live sketches or with their presence on social media and television during lockdown. They have managed to put up a smile on your faces with their every performance. They are with us today to discuss the past, present, and the future of comedy post-COVID era. First up, he's an ace comedian, actor, and has defined the tag of true entertainer in real sense. He's left a lasting impression into the minds of the fans with his television shows like FIR, Akbar Birbal, Comedy Circus, and Indian television's current numero uno show, The Kapil Sharma Show. Bringing to you the man that made the entire nation laugh with his characters and jokes, Bacha Yadav, also known as Kiku Sharda. Up next, he's a top-notch comedian and the host, creator, and the executive producer of the super popular web show, One Mic Stand. He's given a tough time to all his fans in controlling their laughter every time he stepped up on stage. So bringing to you the humorous storm of East India comedy, Sapan Verma.
Hello, thank you.
Up next is Gen Z's most admired comedian and also a very talented writer. His stand-up tours like Pant on Fire, Traveling Punts, and over 250 plus shows in multiple cities make him a lovable comedian who has constantly pushed the boundaries of comedy and entertainment with his craft, bringing to you the specialist in comicology, Saurabh Pant.
Thanks, man.
Next up, she's a rocking comedian, YouTuber, and an artist. From her cracking debut on the satirical show The Week That Wasn't, to performing super entertaining improv comedy, to also acting and judging on web shows, she's rocked them all. Making her way from the land of Comicstan, the versatile Kanis Surka.
Hey, thank you. Hi.
And last but certainly not the least, we have the boss man, the Chief Operating Officer of OML Entertainment, Dhruv Seth, who has mastered his craft over the years into the industry and has a hands-on experience in the field of music, comedy, and marketing. Being an expert in his genre, he's with us today to throw some light on the business of comedy in the unprecedented COVID times. So welcome, Dhruv Seth.
Thank you.
A decade ago, stand-up comedy was non-existent in India, right? However, in the past few years, it's actually become a very lucrative profession, with the audience increasingly consuming content online as well as on television. In your opinions, how do you believe that the comedy landscape has evolved in the last couple of years?
Yeah, in the last few years, stand-up comedy, thanks to these guys, all these guys sitting here, it's been great. I follow a lot of stuff that you guys do, and it's because I primarily started doing fiction shows on television, and I've done that for like 15, 18 years now. And all the kinds of sub TV, the comedy shows, and that's what I've been doing. I've really enjoyed my journey, but at the same time, I know that whenever I'm doing something for television, I know that हमें इतना reach करना है, इतना mass तक पहुंचना है, और इनको कौन सा humor पसंद आता है, और किस तरीके के jokes पसंद आते हैं. But what I really enjoy now is that there is all kinds of humor happening, comedy happening. I see the stuff that you all do, and then I go back and do my own work, and I'm like, hey, there are certain things जो मैंने मैं बहुत impress हुआ देख के, but I can't do those things on my show. It's a different kind of an audience that you're talking to. So yeah, I think these times are good for comedy because we are doing a pretty big show on television right now, which reaches everywhere. And then obviously the market for the stuff that you're doing is growing in a much bigger way than my stuff is growing, because the stuff that I've been doing has been around. It's been around for a while. But the stand-up dunya is like huge now. Yeah, the amount of live shows that happen and the kind of stuff that you all do, it's extremely interesting. Yeah, and I love the way that whole comedy genre is growing, which is great.
Well said, Kiku. Anybody else? So I think now we're coming from Kiku's brand of humor to the stand-up.
I think what I've seen evolve over the few years, like the years that since we started, was like it's two things. I've seen like us evolve from like you taking this very Western format of comedy and aesthetic of comedy, and us finding a very Indian voice in those very Western formats, whether it's improv or stand-up. So in the beginning, we were just doing English comedy, and now we're like at a point where we're doing regional comedy. It's not even just Hindi. There are regional comedy scenes happening in India. And another thing that I saw evolve was over the digital spaces. I've seen comedy evolve into different digital spaces. So it's not just live comedy. You can do, it's YouTube, it's TikTok, it's Instagram, it's Snapchat. Like there's so many platforms where you can put out your comedy now, which wasn't there before. It's not just television and live. I mean, there are just so many platforms now, and that's where we're seeing a lot of comedy happening.
Right. And Dhruv, do you want to give a business perspective to it? Because you manage comedy celebrities as well, right? So how has the business evolved and grown?
I think the business has evolved as the genre has evolved as well. We've always taken the artist lead that we sort of represent to show us where to sort of grow and where there is lack of infrastructure that we can come in and build. So from a stand-up comedy perspective, just to give you some sort of overview, and Saurabh Sapan, correct me if I'm wrong, but 10 years ago, there must be probably 10 or 12 venues that did stand-up comedy as a thing every week, right? Like maybe even, and
much lesser.
Four venues across the country. I'm not even talking about one Bombay or Delhi. Across the country, there were 4 venues. And I think just from a numbers perspective, last year with all of our artists, we did over 1,200 shows. Like from 4 venues to 1,200 shows in 10 years. That's the sort of leap that comedy has taken, and stand-up comedy particularly originating from India. And these are shows that we've done not only pan-India but across the world. Right now, sure, Indian stand-up comedy is recognized across the world. So I think the growth has been phenomenal, and these guys were there right at the beginning.
Right. Perfect. Great. Well said. I'm going to come to Sapan and Saurabh as well. We'll ask you pointed questions. Kiku, I wanted to come back to you in terms of when we are talking about the evolution of comedy. Right. There is also the fact that a couple of years ago, fiction was ruling the roost on Indian television. So you've had the Saas Bahu dramas, and which still do okay. But off late, and in fact, even post-pandemic, the number one show on television undoubtedly is the Kapil Sharma Show. And it has beaten every single fiction show. So do you believe comedy has found its place and standing even on Indian television today? What are your views on that?
The number one show across channels is Kumkum Bhagya, and it's not the Kapil Sharma Show. Otherwise, also we've been around for more than 2-3 years now on the Sony channel, and we've always been number one on the channel. Maybe yes, but then there are a lot of shows. The Nagins, hit it out of the park. I mean, they're doing like. There's other crazy stuff happening, and then the Saas Bahu and the other shows that you're talking about still exist, and they still rule quite a bit. But having said that, what is true is that not a comedy show to kind of give the other shows a run for their money didn't happen before. It's been around when the Kapil Sharma Show has been around for the last 5-6 years or whatever. So it's done really well. So that's what I'm saying, that there is an audience. See, I'll tell you one more thing. Sir, whenever I've discussed now, so the television industry always believes that the ladies rule television, or उनको पता है कि कौन से शोज देखने हैं, कितने बजे देखने हैं, क्या देखना है, दे डिसाइड. तो वो घर में जो खाना बन रहा है उस वक्त जब टेलीविजन देखा जाता है, तो वो जो सास बहू के शोज हैं वही रूल करते हैं. कॉमेडी शोज, जो कि कॉमेडी सर्कस नाम का भी एक शो था, which I have not really done much of, but there was a show that called Comedy Circus which ran for about 7 years. They were like, the men watch more of comedy, but the lady of the house watches the daily soaps. That was the norm. Now, I also believe that the norm is also changing now. I don't think it works like that anymore. It's a mix, and I mean, the Kapil Sharma Show specifically, everyone watches it, from like the entire family watches it. That's what I understand. And so I think that has changed quite a bit. That's why we've been able to compete. And अभी भी मैं कह रहा हूँ कि आप कह रहे हैं कि हम number one हैं, मुझे बड़ी खुशी है इस बात की, लेकिन it still remains that the Nagins and they do their business. ये रिश्ता क्या कहलाता है rocks,
Saurabh, Sapan, any one of you, the pandemic today has caused a lot of distress, right? And it has also evaluated us to rethink what our plan of action would be. A lot of comedians today are performing on Zoom calls, right? What is your view that currently, which the comedy industry, right? Do you believe that how long will it take for things to be, let's say, back to normal? Or do you believe that comedians are still making hay while the pandemic shines?
Well, just a couple of things I want to sort of mention. As Kiku was mentioning, I
one thing that I don't think Kapil Sharma, the show, gets credit for is I was having this conversation with Shimona, who's on the show, about how she was just casually mentioning how they're selling out the Coca-Cola Arena in Dubai, which has 18,000 or 30,000 or 8 million seats, or some insane amount like that. So right now, when Dhruv mentioned 1,200 shows, I think that's the total number of tickets we've sold in the year. It's done by Kapil Sharma in one show. So, I think the big change with comedy that I've noticed has been that for the longest time, what used to be the case for comedians is that, like for us, YouTube used to be a marketing tool. And that used to be almost the case for, even when I spoke to Raju Srivastava about TV, he's like, TV was a mechanism for us to get live shows. And now, specifically with the pandemic, what is happening is that that's changed because there's no live shows. So we are actually having to, for the first time in probably our careers, having to rely entirely on these sort of platforms for making a house run. And a lot of us realize very quickly that what we need to do is adapt and improvise. As Kaniz, I'm sorry for saying the word improvise in front of you like this with disdain. She's like, how can you say improvise without my permission? And so a lot of us, including Kaniz, including Amit Tandon and Tanmay and Samay and a bunch of other people, we very early on realized that YouTube Lives are actually a form of creating content. And I think everybody who was cognizant of the fact that this pandemic is not just going to go away in the next 3 weeks was aware that we got to plan on a 6-month basis. And even now, I still think it's a 6-month basis.
Right.
So for the first time, we are relying on YouTube. And the most interesting thing that's happened for me is that for the first time, our connection with the audience has reached the next level. Like I have never known the names of people who are fans of mine.
Yeah.
And suddenly you have 15, 20 people. You're like, yeah, I know you. You were there also. And they're like, yes, we're here also. And then Kaniz is like, that's my person also. And we're like, what is this? It's the same people everywhere. And you're also relying with Super Chat and with Patreon and all these other places. The audience members who enjoy your work are suddenly your advertisers almost. They are sponsoring your content, which is, I think, such an interesting and very rewarding way to work. It seems more intimate as well. Like I've been doing a show, just the last thing I'll say, I've been doing a show called Wake Up with Saurabh, which is 4 times a week. I'm doing a YouTube live. And it's been a game changer for me from the POV of understanding all of these points that I made and also connecting with the audience. The number of times I'm getting people saying that, dude, we love this show and thanks for doing this during the pandemic. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm making money also. And I'm like, but it's very exciting. So yeah, that's the change I've noticed.
So Sapan, just taking from there, are you making money during the pandemic? Do you believe that the future is going to come when comedians can actually have a ticketed show online in that sense?
Are you asking, are you personally or generally as comedians?
Generally, yes.
Thank you. See, I think one thing that we've all realized is that with the pandemic specifically is that you can't just rely on one stream of income as an artist and as a comedian. Sure. You can't just rely on live shows. You have to at the same time be flexible enough to write things. You have to make sketches. You have to do online streaming. So people have figured out different ways. Like Tanmay and Samay, for example, have cracked streaming. Saurabh has cracked streaming every morning, for example. There are different ways. I know a lot of comedians who are writing web series and things now. Right. So the way around it, a lot of people are doing these, small Instagram videos, Instagram reels, and branded content. So yes, a lot of comedians are making money. Zoom shows are doing really well. Some comedians have really, like Vipul Goyal and Gaurav Kapoor and Amit Tandon, have really cracked the Zoom shows format. I think the first 15, 20 days of the pandemic, nobody had any clue what to do. I think most of us took it as a break. Yaar, bahut tour kar liya, 15 days. Right? Everybody was in that zone. And I think a month into it, we're like, okay, now we don't know when we will resume the live shows. So now everybody's figuring out, and people have cracked formats. Like, just to give you an example, I saw the Kapil Sharma show ka last week episode with my family, and because I've been very wary of the fact that yaar ye bina audience se kaise funny ho sakta hai, but it stays. The standard of humor is the same. Everything is the same. I saw the Avrodh wala episode with Neeraj Kabi and everyone, and I think everything worked. So similarly, like even Zoom call shows, I have seen Atul show, I've seen these guys show, and everybody's just like, people have figured out ways. And I think the best thing about this pandemic is that it's a cliche thing to say, that we're all in this together. The audience gets it. Right. They know that, okay, it's not possible to, match the live audience while feeling. But hey, the Zoom call shows are not bad. They're still good enough to entertain us. So I think the audience is understanding that also.
Right. Okay. A couple of weeks ago, we had a panel of Bollywood directors on the show, right? Ashwini Iyer Tiwari actually, and we asked this question about the situation post-pandemic. She had a very interesting point, and she said that the people will flock to theaters, right? Because they're missing watching a cinema experience, and also cinema is an experience. Do you also believe that post-pandemic, right, people will come back and flock in larger numbers to watch your shows, or do you believe there will still be a fear psychosis of not venturing out of the house for a while?
I think for stand-up, one thing that I think will happen, I don't know kitne log aayenge ya nahi aayenge live, but I think this whole Zoom call and digital shows format will not end once the pandemic ends. It will go on for good. The reason being that we've seen that when we do these digital shows, you get audiences from the most random cities where you would have not thought of going and performing.
Oh, sure.
So the Zoom call just widens your reach. So in the same show, you will have Indians sitting in Australia, Indians sitting in Kanpur, sitting in like Vizag, sitting in like Kashmir, everywhere.
Norway.
Yeah, everywhere. So I think that kind of audience base has really expanded digitally. It's far more difficult for me, even monetarily, and to plan a tour of Australia, for example. You know, spend so much money, visa, travel, this, that, wahan ka venue book karo, ye karo. And then I don't know, I'll get 100 people or 500 people, I don't know right now. As opposed to me just doing a Zoom call show in their time zone, that I'll wake up at 5 in the morning, I'll do a show for you, you come and join it. So I think that trend will stay for good now.
So Sapan, coming back to the same question, you know, I asked Kiku the perspective about feedback from the audience. In Zoom, right, do you get that same energy and feedback and appreciation? Or do you believe there is
I think these guys have done more shows than me, so they will.
Yeah. Yes.
No, it's really funny. Like, depends if people put their video on or not. And like, we have different kinds of shows, but it's so funny when you do a joke and there's silence and you're like, all right, I guess I'll move on to the next one. I don't know if it worked or not, but you just move on to the next joke. And it's so jarring and it's so weird. I was laughing about that because it's so awkward sometimes.
Yeah, I haven't done too many shows. Kuch shows kiye the like chote mote. So matlab, it's a different experience. People laugh, but there's like your delivery has to change a little bit. You have to slow down a bit. You crack a joke and you have to pause for them to laugh to hear it. There are bizarre things. You know, sometimes somebody's dog is barking in the background. Very weird experiences, right? Once we were doing a show and this girl is holding the laptop in her living room watching it, but she's not laughing out loud. And we were talking to her saying, bol kyun nahi rahe ho? Then she messaged saying, my mom is sitting next to me. She does not know I bought tickets to your show. So I will just smile. I will not laugh out loud. So ajeeb cheezein hoti hain. But it's a different experience, I would say.
Right. Q, I wanted to now talk to you about a very popular show called Saturday Night Live. Right, it's the longest running show in American television. Right, what it does, it takes season breaks. Right, so that the writers can come think of fresh ideas. Also, the cast members can do other work. But when you actually do end up doing a comedy show like a Kapil Sharma show on Indian television, right, it goes on and on for a while because it is rating, and also there are demands from the channel to continue the show. And do you believe that with such a pace on a weekly basis without breaks, do you believe it hindrances creativity?
Yeah. So, see, in that case, what happens is that even I've always, when you talk about, I said, I love watching films and stuff. For television mein, जब आप कोई कहानी भी सुनाने जाते हैं, there are so many times when people have planned a 26 episode or a 52 episode or whatever, and they start a show, and then you realize that the TRPs are very good. So the channel never wants you to stop a good TRP show. So the channel pushes you कि आप इसको किसी तरह continue कर लो. कहानी अगर खत्म भी होती है तो उनके बच्चे पैदा कर दो और कहानी को आगे बढ़ा दो, लेकिन कहानी को आगे बढ़ा दो. So that is the kind of यहाँ पर मतलब the mentality is like that, and that's the way it works, that if you have good TRP, don't shut it, because the moment you shut it, there'll be another channel on the same time slot probably comes up with a show and the audience goes away. Now to pull the audience back to you is going to be difficult. Now obviously Kapil Sharma show has reached a certain amount of popularity कि हम break लेके भी आते हैं तो लोग देख लेते हैं.
Okay, now let's come to endorsements. While the pandemic has been happening, a lot of brands are approaching comedians because there wasn't too much of production happening when it comes to creating advertisements. So what was your approach? And I think today, the advantage is to all of you because you also write, right? So I think it's easier for brands to approach you, and you come up with the concept as well. And plus you have a large social media following as well. So what, in your view, has been the endorsement scene pre-Corona and during Corona currently?
No, so in terms of the amount of like brand deals I've been getting, I feel like it's been consistent, even like it's been the same as even before Corona, before the pandemic. I'm still getting the amount of work that I used to get. I think in the beginning it had stopped a little bit. I feel like a lot of people felt like everyone was trying to adjust and see what to do going forward. But what I like about what's happening in the pandemic and is we're doing all the shoots by ourselves in our house. And that's something that's been very different and slightly challenging. It's like trying to, we're playing like director, DOP, makeup artist, like set designer, like we're playing all of that now to try and get those videos shot.
It's very interesting how I think brands tend to underestimate the numbers of YouTube. Like I used to work with Channel V for a long time. I was a writer for Channel V, and I was actually the writer for Great Indian Laughter Show before it became Laughter Challenge. And we used to see the numbers that came in. And I think I wrote for you. I think I might have written something for you, which you would have been like, "Hey, kya bakwas hai?" And you still did it because
I used to love that show, man. I used to love that show.
Yeah,
some amazing stuff happened there. Yeah.
What a show.
So uske liye I wrote some 24 gags and all. So anyway, so us time pe the numbers we used to get was like I don't even understand the TRPs. It was like 0.01 or something like that. And then we used to calculate what the actual number is. It means that the total number of people that have watched it is 10,000. Which when you tabulate to how much the numbers you get on YouTube, anyway, even with the Kapil Sharma show, the numbers that are coming on YouTube are ridiculous. And even if you go through Bassi, who got 39 trillion views for one video, there is a ridiculous amount. And not only that, I think the future of comedy in general is going to be the same format which is followed in the US, which is podcasting.
Right.
A lot of advertisers have been going into the podcasting route, and the reason is that it's essentially you have anything between 1 hour to 3 hours of space, of content space, where you can literally advertise 3 times. And as a comedian, the biggest advantage you have is that you can be completely shameless. It is the biggest advantage you have, where if you're endorsing like Budweiser or Cadbury's, I can eat the entire Cadbury's bar shamelessly and say in log ne paisa diya hai, and people are like bahut mast hai, like so everybody wins in that scenario. So I think people tend to underestimate how important brands are, and as Kanis mentioned, there's how much the brand engagement with comedians is, and specifically in the YouTube lives and all the rest. I think we're probably going to get an advertiser for my show in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
Is what we've been saying to everybody for the last 10 weeks.
Right, Dhruv, your take on it, because again, from business perspective, because you manage so many artists, right, as a company. So what is your take on the revenue opportunities during pandemic for artists?
I think to Saurav's point, the amount of people consuming video format of entertainment has increased. Like everybody's screen time has just increased in the lockdown. It's a given fact. And if the screen time is increasing, there are other mediums that have reduced from your time consumption pattern, right? So I think video and audio both are the sort of the way to go. Again, similar trend. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, everybody was trying to figure out what they can do. There were some people who were going to take advantage of the pandemic, which made sense because you had to promote products that would promote staying at home. So ordering stuff, platforms that were trying to sell subscriptions and stuff like that, all of those sort of saw that as an opportunity. So there was a rush from those brands who would sort of, like the Swiggies and the home delivery apps and stuff like that came and sort of said, hey, let's make sure that the period of the pandemic, we've created something that people sort of associate with. So that when the pandemic is over, our brand is still recognizable, And then what sort of happened is that everybody at the same time, I think, sort of realized that this is going to be a long drawn sort of a scenario. And hence everybody started to sort of rethink on how we can sort of promote products.
Great. I want to ask Kanis, Sapan and Saurav, right? Today with the boom of OTT, right? Today you've seen Veer Das doing a Netflix show. He's done a dramedy series on Netflix as well. Do you believe this is a boon to stand-up comics and comedy writers, because now suddenly there's a newer audience which is separate from television, which has come up? And do you believe thus there will be more opportunities, right, for artists like you to shine and doing other aspects other than just, let's say, stand-up comedy?
100%. Yeah, I think it's already happening with a lot of our colleagues. Like you said, Veer, Anirban and Sumukhi have created their own shows for Amazon, Pushpavali and Afsos and Biswas and Lakhon Mein. I think we're all aspiring towards that. I think even in the West, if you look at the stand-up comedians there, all your biggest comedians have not just done stand-up. They've always done another thing, whether it's a podcast, whether it's acting, sitcoms. Adam Sandler is an actor. Bill Burr runs his podcast. Louis C.K. had his own show, which he was writing, editing, directing, and acting in. So everybody has something else to do, and I think we're all. A lot of projects have already happened, as I said, like Samuki and Anirban. A lot of people are doing things that are in the works, which will go on OTTs. I, for example, never thought about becoming a comedian when I was in college and after college. I wanted to always write and create shows. That's what I wanted to do. Comedy just happened by that. And now I've realized that thankfully, thanks to comedy, I am at a point where I can now pitch shows to OTTs. Because of my comedy career, I've got those access points with Amazon and Netflix to be like, hey, I'm writing something. Do you want to see that? Sure. And I want to take advantage of that. So I think it's going to happen with everyone slowly.
Sure. Okay. Cool.
So in 2011 or something, I'd written a book called Under Delhi. And right now during the pandemic, we've suddenly realized that, hey, this should be a TV show. So we wrote the first episode, we wrote the Bible, and in my head, like my wife is like, "Kitna paisa milega?" And I'm like, just let somebody commission it first. So a lot of us, and this not only applies to so I'm not saying that that Ganesh Sapan and I mean Kiku has made it to that particular level, but I think we are at least we have alternatives with regards to YouTube and stuff like that. There's a lot of young comedians who effectively had left their entire jobs and everything to just continue doing stand-up, and the way they made money was for writing for shows.
Right.
And so one of the big advantages for them is also the OTT. Like the OTT shows the number of writers employed by whether it's Pushpavali or Lakho Mein Ek, or I don't think Lakho Mein Ek so much, but Son of a Bish or whatever it is. So yeah, OTT platforms are great, and I think the show that like One Mic Stand was, I think, a very important show which Sapan did. I would never say this to his face, but I'm saying it just right now, because it was a slightly different zone, and he had been trying to pitch this show for I think since the day he was born. He was like, he came out and he's like, listen, can we have this show on Amazon Prime? And so it took a lot of iterations for it to get done and all that stuff. So again, even with the OTT, while it appears like it's a game changer and it's very important, it takes a ridiculous amount of work, as it should.
Right.
But that is another zone.
Kiku, it's much tougher because Saurabh spoke about SNP, right? As you're doing a show, one of the largely popular shows on television today, right? Any do's and don'ts, because you play characters, right? You as I said, there's body shaming at times, which gets some bits of flack from here and there, right? And today even channels, and earlier the show was on Colors and now Sony, right? Is there any do's and don'ts from the SNP teams of channels telling the writers what is possible and what isn't?
Many, brother, like so much you can't even imagine. There was a time when we were doing Sub TV, and Sub TV was like, it's a family channel and it's all for the family, and they were like, hey, ab se naya aaya hai ki aap pagal nahi bol sakte. I said, pagal तो मतलब कोई किसी को भी बोलता है पागल, मतलब पागल खाने को क्या हम बेवकूफ खाना बोलें, क्या बोलें? So I mean, yeah, really random stuff, yeah. So there are like a lot of do's and don'ts.
It's much tougher right now, especially, and I'm saying today, to create a Kapil Sharma show, which is mass comedy with guidelines and boundaries. I think the task is far more difficult for the writers and artists to perform.
It is far more difficult. So there are people who come out and kind of they have a problem with every small thing. I really read, someone actually made fun. I play a character called Bachcha Yadav or Acha Yadav. I mean, these characters, they have a choti here. Okay,
right.
They have a choti that's standing. Someone said that the choti is the essence of the Brahmin something, and you cannot, make fun of a choti standing like that. So I was like, come on, man. I mean, you've not seen like multiple films and so many times, and it's just a choti that we don't really address it also, and we don't even talk about it. Just the existence of it is like a problem for you. So there are so many people who come out and, they can take, they want to kind of pull something out, and they want to kind of look for mistakes. So people do that. But, now that the show's also grown so big, very frankly, I'm really happy about that I read about this troll, about this choti thing somewhere on Twitter. Then I saw another 100 people getting on to that guy. Okay, come on, listen, तुम्हारे पास sense of humor नहीं है क्या? इतना अच्छा funny show है, तुम्हारा क्या जा रहा है? And all that fight happening within them. So I think because the show is big today, so thank God that there are a lot of followers also who love the show also, and they defend us at various stages.
Right.
But apart from that, yeah, the channel do's and don'ts are there.
Right.
But I remember Kapil also saying कि जब हम छोटे थे और छोटा मतलब छोटे मोटे shows करते थे तो कुछ भी कह के निकल जाते थे, अब हम नहीं निकल सकते, तो अब हमको जिम्मेदारी लेनी पड़ेगी, मतलब the bigger you grow, obviously the responsibility increases.
Do you vet the scripts with the channel, or later on there are edits recommended once the episode is submitted? What normally happens?
No, there are edits that happen. I mean, luckily the channel does not, with us, Sony has been really sweet and they let go of the creative process.
Right.
Although our creators also are the guys at our office, they also know कि do's and don'ts by and large क्या हैं. Sure. If we cross the line sometimes, then it's edited out later.
Right.
But in the flow of things, they let us shoot the way we want.
Right. On that note, I think one last question to each one of you, right?
Yes.
Is that now that we've come to the end of the show, I just wanted to know personally from each one of you, you've actually accomplished a lot of work, right? And you guys have a great, massive one hearts, one love from a lot of people. What's the future for you as an individual going forward? And where do you feel that the industry generally of humor comedy is headed to in the coming next 1 or 2 years? So Kaniz, we'll start with you. You know, as a woman,
my gosh.
you've also you've stood for women's rights, women's equality. You've spoken on a lot of important issues as well, right? So why don't you throw us some light on that?
Well, in terms of like my future in comedy, like I think I'm really looking into like like everyone has mentioned, we don't know when we're going to get back to live. So just me personally, trying to adapt to what's happening right now, continuing my streaming, finding new ways to put shows online, finding new ways to edit stuff and maybe bring a higher production quality to my videos. Like that, again, I can't even plan for more than 6 months. I'm not even thinking about the future right now. I'm like, what can I do right now to sustain my career? And that's honestly, like, I haven't even thought about the future. I'm just living in the moment, which is great. It's isn't that what all meditation teaches us anyway? Just live in the moment.
Well said, because no amount of planning could have predicted the pandemic that happened this year as well.
Exactly. I just can't plan. I don't know when this is going to end. So right now I'm just like, all right, how do I make my online stuff more appealing and better quality?
Sapan, what are plans for East India Company? What, as an individual, as a writer, and as a collective, what are your?
I think the current plan for all of us is to stay gainfully employed for the next few months, so that we can stay alive. But then, long-term plans keep changing because the industry is so new and so different, right? Every year or second year, some new trends come up. We didn't have OTT platforms investing in comedy 2 or 3 years ago as much as they are now. Things are changing. I think at a personal level, I just want to continue doing this in every shape or form, not just live stand-up. So I want to create shows. I want to be able to, say, 5 years later, write a film, direct a film, whatever. I just want to be in this field and associated with cool creative projects. That's my long and short of it. That I want to be employed. I want to work on cool things. What happens 5 years later, 10 years later with the industry, I don't know whether we'll be on phones, on laptops, in theaters. But I just want to continue working. That's it.
Thank you. Saurabh, your last words?
So I want to have enough money to pay off my EMI. That's my first priority. And the comedy industry needs to head in that direction to help me pay that EMI. But I think it's the key right now is a friend of mine, Samit Basu, who's an author, said that writing is the only profession where the biggest reward is survival. And I think that applies to pretty much every kind of job right now. And I think the one thing that we gotta sort of take from this pandemic is how unpredictable the very nature of what we do is. And you have to keep moving fast and the rest of that stuff. I've been doing a show called Wake Up with Saurabh. I plan to do it for the next 6 months at least. The intention of that is to talk to as many people as I can. And because I know this is slightly in a different zone from what he asked, but I don't think news debates are achieving much. I think we should start having a point where we're just having conversations with each other, whether we disagree or agree with the person.
Sure.
And I genuinely believe that comedians and artists and all the rest of that, we have the opportunity to be able to reach out to everybody in the world and have those kind of conversations. So I think you're also going to start seeing, as Sapan said, a lot more people on OTT platforms. There's going to be a lot of regional specific content which is going to be coming out. I think whether it's Gujarati comedy, Marathi comedy, Tamil comedy, all those industries are flourishing. So we're going to start seeing way more of that over the next few years. And I think the richest comedian over the next 14 years is obviously, as we all know, going to be Sapan Verma and Tani Surka. And I'm going to be third. And Kiku Sarda is going to be representing us. And as
he'll be taking us to Dubai for 18,000 people shows.
Yeah, 80,000 people. That's our plan.
Kiku, any plans apart from, we all wish and pray that you get more roles in films and OTT platforms which go beyond comedy. But any other items on the bucket list that you have?
Apart from that, just now in this lockdown only, I realized the importance of being around in the digital space.
Sure.
I'm really orthodox that way. मतलब मुझे ज़्यादा समझ में ही नहीं आया कभी, and I was always like, क्या ज़रूरत है? And I have a friend called Gaurav Gera, very dear friend of mine, and he always used to tell me कि brother तू ये कर इसमें है, ये future है और ये वो, and I was like कि TV चल रहा है ना यार, क्या मतलब ठीक है ना? But just now in this lockdown, I realized that this space is amazing, yaar. I mean, so much of interaction that happens, so much that feedback that you get, and the kind of stuff that you can do, you should be doing. I mean, I've been a little shy in terms of even when you do apne show ka ya film ka promotional activity also. I feel very shy telling people ke आओ मेरी film देखो. Like तुमको अच्छा लगे देखो, नहीं देखना मत देखो, मैं क्या करूँ? मना किया, अपनी मर्जी है. So, but now, digital space is really interesting, and with the stuff that all you guys are doing, and plus all that is happening. And plus, I'm really happy about comedy also growing in this way. And I've always believed कि हंसी मजाक में ना बहुत बड़ी-बड़ी और जरूरी बातें लोगों को समझा सकते हैं जो आप ऐसे नहीं समझा पाते. People don't understand and they don't want to. And when my children, sit and watch Three Idiots, the movie, and they're like, oh, we love this film. I said, such an important message, and you're watching it because it's funny. Because it's funny, you sit through the film and you understand also what is happening. So it's very important that this strength that we have कि हम हंसी मजाक में एक मुद्दे वाली बात कर सकते हैं और लोगों के जहन में उस बात को पहुंचा सकते हैं, ये बहुत बड़ी strength है, and we should make the best use of it. So I'm really happy that comedy is growing the way it is, and God bless all of you all and all of us, so that we can also kind of make more content and make people more sane, instead of the way insanity is growing right now with this whole lockdown. So yeah, that's about it.
Dhruv, last words from you, which is the trends of future of the business of comedy?
I think as an organization, our goal is to increase the share of the pie for comedy in every aspect, like whether it be platform content, whether it be social media content, whether it be live entertainment, whether it be television, movies. Our goal will just to be expand the share of the pie that comedy has.
Thank you. Well said. On that note, I just want to say that I've always admired all of you, because it's very easy, I believe, to make people cry, but extremely difficult to make people laugh. With that, on behalf of the entire team at Kiska Brand Vijayga, we hope that you keep amazing us with your comic craft and keep the humor floating towards us, irrespective of the platform. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Mr. Sharda, I just want to say, if you want to work on non-comedy content, you should work with Saurabh. A lot of his stuff is very unfunny.
all of us were waiting to make the same joke, and Therese jumped at it first. She's waited for 1.5 hours sitting on that joke. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. This is Aditya Bhatt signing off from the home edition of Kiska Brand Vijayga. Until next time, happy branding.
A lot of my audience has grown with me. The people who read my first book, they were in college,
right?
But they are now having kids, so they are hopefully still with me. And then the new generation is coming. So the target audience will always be the new generation who've never touched a Chetan Bhagat book, because the old ones are still going to be there.